coming and meeting me here, Jason, at the Shangri-La in Cebu. Enjoying it.
Come a long way just to give you an interview.
Thankfully, it wasn't just with this. It's very hot, but I appreciate you making the time to ask about how things have been going with WrkPod and building a team with us. So tell me a little bit about, when did you start? Like, when did we help you hire your first team member?
Question. It's a great question. I think it would have been at least 3 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it might have been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And we started off with one VA in the insurance business.
Yeah.
And then we very quickly realized how initially there was a lot of fear, right?
Yeah.
Of, God, how much time is this going to take?
Yeah.
Do we have time to do this? Can we do this effectively?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of reasons of why I delayed.
Yeah.
I delayed
And
probably a good 3 years. 3 years before maybe even 4,
Yeah.
before we got our first VA. And then we got another 2 VAs within 9 months. And then, right now we're at 5 VAs right now in a fairly short amount of time. Basically, once we realized that we could do it and we knew what we were doing, obviously with your team's help and support and guidance and Cybelle, who's just been amazing with helping us with the recruiting.
Yeah.
And so that's
So what's your business? You got the SMSF stuff, the insurance, the accounting.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your business, and then we can talk about what the roles are, like what you're actually doing.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we basically got the 3 core businesses of the SMSF group.
Yeah.
So I specialize and focus on setting up, preparing self-managed super funds.
Yeah.
So for clients to take control of their super and help accelerate their retirement goals by using the most tax-effective tax structure in Australia, which is a self-managed super fund.
Yeah.
So that's our main business. Then we've got the financial planning business.
Yeah.
So we've got the admin, we've got the financial planning, and then we've got, which also involves investments, where we do our specific investments for self-managed super funds and SMSF clients.
Yeah.
And then we've got the insurance business as well.
And so why were you even considering outsourcing? Like, what was the problem that you were trying to solve in the business?
Yeah, great question. Do you know what? It was to start freeing up my time. So as the business owner, and literally we've got 4 businesses and they're 4 separate business centers.
Yeah.
I was becoming the bottleneck
Right.
in a lot of the processes. And, your checklist of 161 things that a VA can do for you, and checking emails and just there's so many things that a VA could do, which basically took the blinkers off for me.
Yeah.
For me to go, okay, all right, there's a lot that I could start getting off my plate.
Yeah.
But it was the conundrum of, well, how do I do that when I'm already stretched for time and I've got to train them up? And so that was the real concern that I had initially before I hit the go button.
So how did you overcome that? Because I think that's a concern that a lot of people would have, is like, how am I going to get enough time, like enough things for them to do? And then if they're already strapped for time, like, how am I going to find the time to introduce this new staff member? How did you actually overcome that?
Yeah, great question. So it became the realization that, do you know what it was? It was technology. It was using screen recordings, using Loom.
Yeah.
And basically even on, we use Google Meet. We use the whole Google suite. So we use Google Meet. So when I'm doing something, I would just have my VA. So at the moment I'm doing it with Jess.
Yeah.
And I have Jess and I go, right, Jess, this is how I do this. And I explain it to her once.
Yeah.
And then she takes the recording and she breaks it up into chapters and sections. And then she creates the workflow. And then now that's off my plate. Now Jess can follow that, or anybody can come in to the business and create those workflows.
You got Jess actually involved in creating the systems. So you didn't create all the systems necessarily. She didn't walk in and all the systems were done. You've involved your staff in creating the systems and technology. Right.
Yeah.
So potentially, you said you waited 3 years. Potentially, those 3 years, if you had have known and had been able to make those mindset shifts, you could have potentially...
I could have accelerated.
You could have accelerated it earlier.
100%. 100. And I don't think there's any business owner in WrkPod that turns around and goes, man, I wish I had waited 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. And then what's that impact? I mean, you talked about the biggest problem was you being the bottleneck.
Yes.
How has that alleviated? Like, obviously, you've got a team of 5 now. I imagine it's not just your own time you're alleviating now. Sounds like you're doing it in other areas of the business as well. But for that initial problem, how has that helped you to get some of your time back? And then the second question to that would be, where have you then deployed that time in your own business?
Yeah. So, mate, we now are in such a stronger position, and seriously, we wouldn't be able to do it without our international team.
Yeah.
We are so much more efficient and systemized, and we're able to take on a lot more clients now.
Wow.
Than what we could have 3 years ago. Right now, I could go do a presentation and I could have 30 applications or 30 expressions of interest for a self-managed super fund. Yeah. And then we're able to now service those that are ready, sort of put the others onto a nurture program. Yeah. And we could put them into the pipeline and no one would get lost.
And you felt like before because
oh my God, prior 3 years ago, out of 30, there's probably 6 to 8 that are ready to go.
Yeah.
We'd service those and everybody else would sort of get lost.
Wow.
In the process. Maybe they'd be on an email and maybe they'd come back.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't be actively following them up, actively touching base. And so to be fair, it's a game changer for us. I'm now at a stage that I could basically double the business in the next 12 months because of the systems that the VAs have created.
Yeah.
Right. And because of the staff and the processes that we've got.
Wow. So it's basically, it's like change your capacity, like over doubled your capacity basically to actually service the clients. If you're saying you were doing maybe 6 to 8, you could have handled, now you feel like you could handle like 30 of those.
So that's a 5x.
Yeah, 5x.
And it's not even that. It's because we've got the systems, we've got the tracks to run on. Yeah. If we've got more clients to service, then we've already got the systems and processes. Yeah. We just bring on more staff.
Yeah.
So to a degree, now I'm still the bottleneck in certain areas of the business.
It'll always be that way, though, won't it? Until you get to one ceiling and then you break through and then you go to that next ceiling.
But without our team, I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to service the amount of clients that I can service now.
So it's improved your capacity now.
From a profit,
that's
sort of exponential as well.
Wow.
As a result of that.
Well, I mean, you can imagine 8 going to 30. Like if you're losing 24 SMSFs, potential clients,
yes, or them just falling out of the system.
Yeah, the revenue drop would be huge. And 5 staff is it that you've got right now overseas? So it might cost you I imagine it'll cost less than 150 grand a year for those 5 staff. It would be certainly around that.
Yeah, mate, we're under 100 grand.
Yeah, so for under 100,000, you've doubled your capacity at the price more than double, 5x.
5x the capacity.
It's amazing.
For around 100 grand.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that's helped me and my business to grow is the fact that I've really empowered Nicole to act as my admin manager. And it's Nicole that is coordinating with the staff every morning. Yeah. And checking in and sort of managing tasks and making sure that there's a protocol. And that has been a real game changer. So for us, they're not external staff.
Yeah.
They're part of your team. They are an integral part of our team. They're just working from a different site. Yeah. And it just so happens that it's overseas. Yeah. So they're in our international office.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point. Like you guys have made an effort to make them feel a part of your team. And that because of that, you've seen the staff have stayed with you. Like, you haven't had a huge turnover of staff. You've got your local team on board, like Nicole and your other local team.
Yes.
I know when we first started having the conversation, we went out to a restaurant with some of your team because you wanted them to catch and understand.
That's how it all started, right? Because I brought Hillis.
Yeah.
Sat down with you and said...
Because you were a believer, but you needed your team to understand what you were trying to do. And so you've been able to do that well. And because your local team was on board, it's been like a seamless process to get the team off the ground.
Oh, and it's taken workload off everybody.
Yeah.
Like we could not, individually within our Australian team, we couldn't do what we do right now.
Yeah.
And even to the point where, Geraldine, our team leader, is doing certain things that if she was to take a month off, there'd be other parts of the business that would fill in.
Yeah.
But there'd be initial of, oh, okay, how do we do that again?
Yeah. That's great. So you've 5x the capacity. You've obviously provided a lot more opportunity for revenue growth. You've got the training systems now that you can bring on more staff. Like, you're not, I guess, in a place where you're playing catch up now. Like, when you do have the opportunity to grow, it sounds like you're now able to scale up as you need to because you've got the systems in place.
And that's happening right now.
Yeah.
I'm able to bring on business partners.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal. Like, I was at a party Friday a week ago, random, and chatted to a guy I hadn't seen for a long time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's like, oh, how's everything going? I'm like, yeah, I'm working with these 5 referral bucks. And he's like, great. Actually, I could refer to you.
Yeah.
I could be one of your 5.
Yeah.
I was like, that just wouldn't have even come up 3 years ago.
Yeah. Great. And so specifically, shameless plug here, obviously working with WrkPod, like, how have we helped you overcome those challenges? It sounded like there was several hurdles that you had to kind of, I guess, work through yourself. And then how's WrkPod helped you to overcome those challenges? And then just, I guess, practically find the staff, have them in the office space. Like, what has that experience been like? And how do you think we've been able to support you in hiring those first 5 team members?
Yeah, certainly. And look, I wouldn't even know where to begin if I was to try and do this without WrkPod.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that you guys make the whole process quite easy to follow.
Yeah.
And quite simple in the sense of you find that you shortlist the candidates.
Yeah.
And so I work with your staff to say, here, actually work hand in hand to say, what's product description of what you want, refine it.
Yeah.
And then one thing that we did that was a little different that I reckon helped us to get high quality staff is that we actually filmed a video introducing ourselves to say, this is who we are, this is what it's like to work as part of our team, this is who we're looking for. And I think that helped us to stand out a little bit.
It easier for our team because we can use that video to help promote your ads online, and when people are applying for the job, we can send them that video ahead of time so they get a feel for you. Definitely.
So I think that has helped. And then, you guys shortlist it.
Yeah.
And then it's up to us to go through and interview the candidates.
Yeah.
We can use Willow, so you use technology really effectively.
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning, I'm reviewing, listening to one of the candidates to help shortlist so that we can go, you know what, we want these 3, we want to interview these 3.
Yeah.
And so I think that whole process has saved us an immense amount of time.
Yeah.
So that we can just focus on the 3 or 4 that we want to interview.
Yeah.
And then even from contracts, you guys have templates to help with contracts and to work through it all. And then, of course, putting them into an actual office and a seat, helping out with hiring the equipment. Like, look, I think if anyone is trying to do this on their own, it would waste so much time.
Yeah.
Right. Trying to do it on their own. The fact that you guys have helped, I don't know, what are you up to, 800 now?
Yeah, something like that.
About 800.
Yeah.
You got 800 placements.
In the last 2 years.
You're quite the experts in in making it as seamless as possible for business owners.
Yeah.
And so anyone who's questioning, get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Save yourself 3 years and just get started.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to chat with you about WrkPod, and appreciate you working with us. It's exciting, and I'm obviously a client of yours as well, so I get the benefit of seeing your business growth, but appreciate, you choosing to work with WrkPod.
No dramas at all.
Appreciate you, buddy.